a man gets tased by the police after he called 911 for help himself. Here it is.
Inhale. You're gonna put your lips right there when I tell you. I want you to blow hard. Inhale. No. Inhale. You're not touching my stuff. Inhale.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Put your hands by your side.
I'm sorry.
Inhale. Put your mouth out there and blow. Do not freaking touch my hand on my stuff, dude.
I'm not going to touch you, sir. I'm just, man, I've been through a lot, man.
Okay, well, I'm not the one that had you go through that crap. But right now, I'm going to tell you again, keep your hands by your side.
Yes, sir.
You raise them again, it'll be a form of active aggression, you're going to eat that concrete.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I got you. No, stop, sir. Stop. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, man. Man, I got raped. So I got raped when I was a kid, man. I got raped. Stop. I will. So I got raped when I was... Okay, stop, man. Stop. I got you. Stop, man. I got raped when I was a kid, man. I got raped when I was a kid, man. I got raped when I was a kid, man.
Put it up for a mass. It's called trauma. Every trigger has a trauma behind it. According to Atlanta Black Star, this incident occurred in the state of Georgia. It was back in 2023. Last week, Mr. Jeremiah Roberson filed a lawsuit against those 3 deputies involved. That's why we have the case now. And his arrest, Dennis Lee Tippins, Kyle Allen, and John Allen are accused after arresting and during the arrest of Mr. Roberson. They are accused of excessive force, and they are accused of failure to intervene, because we do have that as a rule here. They failed to intervene on each other to stop the abuse, which included, 2 deputies tasering him nearly 2 minutes, even though he never tried to run, he never tried to fight them. He simply echoed verbal proclamations. The incident took place on July 3rd, 2023, while Mr. Roberson was driving on Interstate 75 through Butts County when he began to have car trouble, and he called the people he believed would help him in an emergency. He called 911. Roberson, who lives in Henry County, which is just north of Butts County, followed the dispatcher's advice to drive to the local JP Travel Center gas station, which remains open 24 hours a day. Makes sense. So Roberson was standing next to his car with the hood open when Tippins pulled into the gas station in response to this 911 call. Roberson had his door open. The deputy first examined the engine, but then noticed a can of beer inside of Roberson's car. So he called for backup, which led to deputies Kyle and John Allen to arrive. The 3 deputies surrounded Roberson while Tippins asked Roberson about the beer can, getting the reply that it had been left there by a passenger, okay? Kyle Allen also searched Roberson for drugs and guns, found nothing. Roberson, who told the deputies he had not been drinking, agreed to take a breathalyzer test to prove it, the claim states. The lawsuit also states that when Tippins attempted to raise the breathalyzer device to Roberson's mouth, Roberson, quote, reflectively raised his hands to stabilize it, end quote, which angered Deputy Tippins, especially when it happened at least 3 times, calling it an act of aggression. But Roberson repeatedly apologized, telling the deputy that the reflective reaction was a result of prior trauma. The 3 deputies then tackled Roberson to the ground. You saw that on video, causing his head to hit his car against the concrete. As Roberson repeatedly apologized, Tippins then tasered Roberson for 2 minutes before Kyle Allen did the exact same thing. Tippins then placed Roberson in a chokehold while Kyle Allen continued to taser him more. Meanwhile, the third deputy, Jon Allen, did absolutely nothing. He likely believed what those two officers were doing was completely wrong, unethical, immoral, and illegal. So he decided to engage in zero physical action. When was the last time you've seen a cop, or cops, plural, engage in a physical takedown of a suspect, but there's one cop who decides to do absolutely nothing? That is rare. In some parts, unheard of. In my opinion, it is indicative of his moral clarity mentally, simply not in action of what was going on in front of him. Now let's go back to this proclamation about active aggression. Active aggression. An act of aggression statutorily is not something germane to police officers only. In other words, if a police officer is claiming you engaged in an act of aggression, that means that same gesture you made would thus be an act of aggression against any other citizen here, or non-citizen, any other human being. Because an act of aggression is not some specially developed statutory framework that only applies to cops. So let me ask you, what you saw him do, would that be to you an act of physical aggression against you? No, it would not have been. Maybe you would have said something aggressively. Maybe you would be irritated. Maybe you would just walk away and not even think about it again, but you definitely would not believe it was an act of aggression against you. He never refused to take the breathalyzer. But even if he did refuse to take the breathalyzer, or if the officers believed that his alleged act of aggression was a refusal to take the breathalyzer, they have a statutory framework on their side. Sir, you're under arrest for refusing to take the breathalyzer. We are going to also require your license. Your license will be subject to suspension in the state of Georgia, because once you are a licensed driver, these things are implied that you would do, because driving is not a right. It happens to be a privilege that you earn. He goes to the county. The required statutory minimum is 24 hours. That's typically, if a person is intoxicated, they have time to sleep it off. But why is it that none of that happened? Why is it that none of that happened? If it's an open container charge, that's a misdemeanor. As a matter of fact, many jurisdictions, like the city of Atlanta, will give you a ticket. Come to court, talk about it. It may not be yours. It may be somebody else. The deputies then picked him up and threw him into the back of a patrol car. Remember, he has now been physically assaulted and tasered. Threw him back into a patrol car before transporting him to Butts County Jail. He was placed in a solitary holding cell. These solitary holding cells are barely the size of an adult male. I mean, there is no room in these cells at all. It is meant to torture you without torturing you. Less than 3 weeks later, July 21st, 2023, what happened? All charges were completely dismissed. In the interest of justice is how it was dismissed, including 3 counts of obstructing an officer, 1 count of an open container violation, 1 count of having an expired tag. What happened to the count of being intoxicated? What happened to that one? When a charge is dropped, we're not talking about a verdict in the interest of justice. We're talking about charges being dropped in the interest of justice. When a charge is dropped in the interest of justice, that means that there is some level of injustice typically that requires the prosecutor or the judge to basically not even investigate or inquire judicially any further about anything else. In the interest of justice, not in the interest of you did not technically do something that could be prosecutable, Not that this case could not be indicted, but there's a bigger issue here, and the bigger issue is justice, or the justice system itself, and what the justice system has done to you. So in the interest of justice, the thing that we're here for, we are dismissing these charges. I need you to understand the context of that dismissal. Tippins resigned. Obviously, he was forced to. He never should have had the privilege of resigning. He should be fired. Tippins resigned from the Butts County Sheriff's Office on August 3rd, 2023, and he was charged with misdemeanor simple battery on August 9th, 2023. That's according to online court records from the Butts County Sheriff's Office. He pleaded guilty to the charge on December 6, 2023. He was sentenced to 12 months probation with credit for time served for 1 day, indicating he may have spent the night in jail after his arrest. They gave him the 24 hours that the man would have had under DUI. All right. This is why there's an us and them mentality when it comes to cops and community. None of this was necessary. The man called 911 because he was in need of help. Cop comes, looks at his engine, but instead of being a human being, instead of having some level of decency, if the man isn't intoxicated, but he has an open container, how about you just throw away the open container and say, listen, man, it's illegal to have an open container in the state of Georgia. I could charge you with a misdemeanor, but since you're not intoxicated, why would I do that? Because the reason why the open container law exists is to stop people from driving intoxicated. If he's not intoxicated, throw the damn beer bottle away. Let him go on. But instead, your whole career got flipped upside down. It doesn't pay to not show compassion, sir. All right. Tehran, thoughts?
Well, Dr. Richey, in all fairness, this happened in Henry County, Butts County sheriff showed up, and it's called Butts County. It's called Butts County. So it makes sense that all these sheriff deputies were ass, okay? Right. They were ass, they acted like asses, and this is what happens. Now they got their asses handed to them right. for committing crime. When it comes to Mr. Roberson, he did the right thing. He called the police. He said, these are the people that are supposed to help us. And then the people who are supposed to help you are the ones that end up hurting you. That's exactly the trauma that he had to begin with. As he expressed, I have been SA'd. I have been SA'd. That is the only reason I have this reflex. Please help me.
Yep.
When we come to obstruction, how did he get 3 counts of obstruction for that? Where's the obstruction to begin with? Let's say it was even resisting. Resisting in Georgia is an active act. Clearly, he's passive the entire time. He's complying the entire time. He's listening, doesn't refuse to take the breathalyzer, simply reaches out for the hand, which leads me to think that Tippins was homophobic in some way, or even if he was a germaphobe, he could have wore gloves and let this happen. Now, an underlying thing is the fact that the other 2 officers, one aided, the other one just stood there. That's something we need to talk about, because we always say when you see something, say something, except the police, they see things all the time and say nothing. This is what we mean by blue wall. The 3rd deputy that stood there and did nothing at all, didn't even help, he was caught in the position of, if I help, I know I'm doing something wrong. But if I don't help and I don't say it, if I say something, now my department's gonna come down on me. And now he's facing that charge. We need to change the system. We need to change the culture, and we need to prevent this. All those same officers that got D's in all their classes, learn the word, that same letter grade D, de-escalate. How about that? De-escalate before you get F'd. Thank you.
Yeah, man, it's an enforcement with no infraction. It's an infraction with no enforcement. And as long as you have that, you will always create the culture that will be friendly to an adverse atmosphere to everyday people. All right, we'll bring you updates if there's an update to bring.